Hey, what is up guys, GuitarRock here, welcome back to another Honkai Star Rail video. Alright, today's video we're going to talk about light cones, specifically what are the best light cones for each characters that you have in terms of the path, right? So hopefully in this video I'll be able to help you guys make a better decision on building the best light cones for each of your characters individually. So I did come up with my own tier list, which we're going to try to place them in the tiers accordingly. But for now, let's look at a bunch of these categorically. Now first up, we have the destruction path. So this is going to be something that's very interesting. I do believe if you have Clara, this is going to be the best one. It gives you attack, it gives you a lot of HP, restoration, and at the same time increases your damage by 24%. It gives you a lot of stats. I do think that this is going to be one of the better light cones for Clara, but again, only if you have this. Now, Destruction Path is going to be something that's much more of a bruiser, characters that can take a number of hits by themselves. This one is not that impressive in my opinion because it has increased attack and also damage on weakness break, but the condition is too strict in my humble opinion because number one, the attack, yes, it ramps out to 32%, but it takes so many turns, right? So unless you have Bronya to speed up your destruction character's turn, I can see this one being a little bit slow, especially in most destruction characters that don't really have high speed per se. Damage increase only applies when there's weakness break. That's also one more condition that sets it back apart. So a secret vow is something that most players are going to use if you have this one. This one is by far going to be something that's much more standardized because it's straight up just increase your damage by 20%. Obviously, there's one more condition right here. Where it can also boost your damage by extra 20% if your percentage damage is less than the enemy's one. So this is also something that's quite hard to achieve. It goes up to 40%, 40 and 40, which is 80, which is insane for a 4-star light cone. I do think this is going to be much more universal than on the Fall of the Eon, right? So again, this one, the conditions are really too strict. I just wish this one would be like 16% and then ramps up 2 times as opposed to 4 times. So in terms of priority, I'm going to say this one for Clara. And if you have any other destruction characters, I'm going to say a Secret Vow is going to be a better pick overall. Now, Nowhere to Run is the one that you can obtain from the Battle Pass. Seems a bit lacking. Increased attack by 24%. Again, damage percent from a Secret Vow is going to be better than attack percent 24%. Most of the time, alright? So whenever the wearer defeats an enemy, they restore HP, which is like whatever, like you're gonna run a healer most of the time. I don't see how this is going to be very useful. Again, the condition seems a bit too strict. Wolf Walk Time is probably the best one for Hook right now. I've been using this one. This gives you a ton of damage as well. Again, wearer's attack increased by 10%, but the damage from enemies afflicted with burn and bleed increased by 16%. So if you run a DOT team with burn and bleed, and for Hook, this one does a lot. So highly recommend to get Wolf Walk Time. Under the Blue Sky, I don't really like this one as much. It's similar to Wolf Walk Time except for it gives you attack and it gives you crit rate if you are able to defeat an enemy, but it only lasts for 3 turns. And last but not least, the Moles Welcome You. This one is a little bit interesting. You can see right here, after the wearer uses basic attack, skill or ultimate to attack enemies, the wearer gains 1 stack of Mischievous. I'm assuming that the basic attack and skill and ultimate each counts as 1 stack, so you get up to 3 stacks, right? And each stack will give you 12% of attack. So that means 12 times 3, 36% of attack. I don't have this particular light cone to test it, but here's the thing. Most of the time when you set up in a battle, your destruction characters, you're gonna have skills for them to use. They're not gonna use basic attack unless you purposely set it up for you to use basic attack, skill and ultimate. Maybe you're only going to use skill and ultimate most of the time, right? So in that case, you're not going to benefit from the 36% as much. You're only going to get the 24%, which again seems a bit lacking compared to a Secret Vow. Now, if you have Secret Vow, definitely highly recommend this one per se. The Hunt is going to be a really interesting one. Sila's Light Cone gives a lot of stats. Alright, so this one gives you crit rate 18%. Also, it gives you basic attack and skill increase. And also damage from ultimate. Insane, and it also stacks. So this one by far is the best one. Just straight up a ton of stats. Now, if you don't really have that, then your second best choice is going to be either Sleep Like the Dead, which gives you crit damage by 30% and also have a chance to boost your crit rate if you didn't crit. And also this one, which is Cruising in the Stellar Sea, which gives you crit rate by default 8% and bonus crit rate by 8% if enemies are less or equal to 50%. And then if you are able to defeat an enemy, it gives you attack boost 20%. Quite a lot of things here. I think this is good on Scylla, not too bad if you don't have her specific light cone, but it might not work as well against bosses, right? Against bosses, if you are fighting like, let's say, Kafka from World 5, a single enemy, this one, it's going to be hard to benefit from this because there's nothing for you to kill. Some bosses do summon certain things. For example, Kokolia can summon the swords for you to get rid of. Yes, that's going to be beneficial. But in that case, if you're fighting only a single boss, then sword play is going to be better. This one is insane. 8 times 5, 40% damage increase. Only if you focus specifically on one target. So yeah, so it really depends. If you're fighting multiple enemies, this one seems to be better. If you're fighting bosses, this one seems to be better. But again, this one, if you fight multiple enemies and you switch target, the entire damage dealt stack just disappear altogether. So if you want something that's a balance between both of that, then either subscribe for more. Pretty universal light cone right here. Increase damage of basic attack and skill by 24%. And the effect increased by 24% when wearer's current energy reaches its max level. So again, this one, you can easily stack this up. I do think this is going to be a very, very good light cone overall. Much more universal, and also river flows in spring. Alright, so when you enter, increase the wearer's speed by 8% and damage by 12%. When the wearer takes damage, this effect will disappear. So this one, a little bit unfortunate that it does, if you get hit, it does disappear. However, effect will resume after the end of the wearer's next turn. Now, if you have high speed, which most hunt characters do, it doesn't seem that bad, alright, considering someone like Scylla, for example, or if you have Bronya combo, they're going to move more often, and therefore you will be able to get back the stack extremely fast. As for Only Silence Remains, I don't think this is a good one at all. It seems subpar compared to Subscribe for More, which gives way more. This only gives attack percent, whereas Return to Darkness also seems a bit lacking. Crit rate 12% is really weird, and also 16% fixed chance to dispel a buff. So if you are trying to remove buff, sure, you can use that, but Pela can remove buff at 100% chance, so I don't see why you need to use this particular light cone to remove buff. Now let's move on to Erudition. Okay, so this one, again, strongest light cone in the game. Okay, so I've already talked about this on my Jung Yuan's video. Insane stat stick right here. It gives you so much stats. Crit damage 36%, increase skill and ultimate damage 18%, and again follow-up damage increased by 48%. Even if you don't have follow-up damage or your characters can't do follow-up damage, that crit damage, that skill and ultimate damage alone, that's already an insane damage increase right there. So I don't know, I think this is insanely broken. Once you go up to Super Impulse 5, man, this one is like, I feel like this is a tier of its own. This one and this particular one, Scylla's one, I think that's like going to be SS tier. But yeah, looking at this right now, Night on the Milky Way, I think this is okay for Himeko, but compared to what we just saw on Jung Yuan's light cone, this one seems a bit lacking. You gotta have a lot of enemies on the field for you to be able to get this stack, and also the condition is too strict, alright? Number one, you gotta have plenty of enemies. Number two, you need to inflict weakness break to increase the damage, but then it only occurs for one turn only, which is really unfortunate. I wish this was like at least 3 turns, at least 4 turns, 1 turn. A bit lacking, in my humble opinion. For a 5-star light cone, it seems really bad. Now, seriousness for breakfast, this is something that I do appreciate. It straight up increase wearer's damage by 12%, similar to a secret vow from destruction. This one is really strong as well. You can see for every defeated enemy, also you are getting that stack of attack. So definitely this one is going to be much more universal. I highly recommend using this if you have that. Alright, and I think you can farm this as well from the light cone shop in the Forgotten Hall. As for Birth of Self, this one is only good if you have follow-up damage. Definitely boost your follow-up damage. If you have Herta, this is going to be decent. If you have Himeko, again, going to be quite decent, 24% and 24%, up to 48%. Make the World Clamor is also decent, but I don't really like that it only improves your ultimate damage. So ultimate damage is cool, but if you don't have the energy to recharge it that often, it seems a bit lacking. It does regenerate your energy, but only once when you enter battle. So against in long battle, it seems like the value is lost right there, especially when the battle takes extremely long. Genius's Robe, wearer's attack, again attack scale tends to be lesser than damage percent, so you want to go for damage percent if possible. And the last one, now this one I do like. I think this one might be one of the better ones from the battle pass. When you enter battle, increase the damage, whereas damage based on the max energy. Alright, damage increased by 0.2% per point of energy, up to 160 energy. Now, max energy is fixed for every character as far as I know. So let me show you guys what do I mean by that. It's not current energy, it's max energy. I think a lot of people gets confused because of how the wording is. For example, Serval, if I click here on more stats, you see this max energy is 100. So her max energy will always be 100. Yes, there are some relics that can give you energy regeneration rate, but that doesn't improve your max energy as far as I know. So this one by default 0.2% for Serval, which is 100 max energy, is going to increase her damage by 20%. Again, very good. Add Superimpose 1 and apparently it goes up to Superimpose 5, which can increase your damage by 40%. Which is a lot. Yeah, this is just insane. And as far as I know, based on the description here, it works on everything that you output. Alright, your basic skill, your basic attack, your skill, your ultimate. So this is going to be the most universal one for Erudition class. I do think this is going to be better than most of these other ones. I do intend to get this for my battle pass, and then I plan to test it out and let you guys know of the results. Hopefully you guys can see for yourself if it's going to actually be worth it, but based on theory right now, it seems to be really strong. Alright, next up we have Harmony. Okay, so Harmony is going to be for supports. Alright, it's like Bronya, Tingyan, Asta. Now here's the thing. Right now, this one is going to be the best one. Increase energy regeneration rate by 10%. Regenerates 1 skill point when you use ultimate. Again, that's already broken. Alright, it gives you so much energy regen, a skill point, and then it also boosts your next person that takes action, boost 30% of their damage, which is already crazy. If you give this to Tingyan, she's gonna boost you even more. You give this to Bronya, she will be able to, you can literally control who you're buffing and who gets the bonus damage more. 30% more damage, just straight up insane. So definitely this one, in my humble opinion, is one of the top tier right now in terms of light cones, alongside with Before Dawn. Although I do think that Before Dawn is going to be even more broken. If you don't have this one, Dance is going to be very good. It gives your all allies actions advance forward by 16% at Superimpose 1, and that's already a lot. Alright, every time you use ultimate, that's what I'm currently using. And if you don't have that, I highly recommend Past and Future as well. When the wearer uses the skill, right, the next ally taking action deals 16% increased damage for 1 turn. This is really good. I do like this one more than this one, Carve the Moon with the Clouds. Now the reason why I don't really like Carve the Moon with the Clouds as much is it's not because it's bad. It's actually really good. This one is from the Battle Pass as well, right? But if you're free to play, I don't think you'll ever get this. This one will give you random stats depending on which one you need. For example, all allies attack increased by 10%, all allies crit damage increased by 12%, or all allies energy regeneration rate increased by 6%. You do not get to choose the stats that you obtain, the bonus stats you get. You are randomly getting one of these stats. Now, the problem here is the crit damage is really good. Alright, everybody's crit damage is increased. The energy regeneration rate is also really good, 6%. But the attack by 10% seems a bit lacking depending on who you're running. So if you are running multiple supporters and then you have a tank and you only have 1 damage dealer like Scylla or Serval, it doesn't make that much sense because attack 10% seems a bit lacking compared to this one where damage increased by 16%. So it depends on the team that you're running. Most people have 1 healer, Natasha, 1 tank, fire MC, and then they have 1 buffer, Bronya, and then 1 damage dealer, which is either Scylla or Danheng. And in that case, this one makes most sense in most setups based on what I'm seeing. Unless you run 4 damage dealers, I don't see how this is going to be better than this unless you're able to get the energy regeneration rate. And in that case, yeah, it's a big gacha right there, for sure. So I don't know, in my humble opinion, I feel like I would go Past and Future over Carve the Moon with the Clouds. But then again, I do think that they are both quite equal. These 3 are quite equal. As for this one, a little bit lacking. Alright, it seems like it's only good if you have the same type of elements, right? For example, if an ally deals the same damage type as the wearer, damage deal increased by 12%. So that means you gotta have the same element, right? Same fire type. Right now, we don't have enough characters to justify this particular one yet. So maybe in the future, this one might be stronger. And the last one is this one. This one seems a bit weird. Increased wearer's break effect. I've made a video talking about break effect. It seems a bit lacking, but the energy I think is not bad. Although, you know, this one can only trigger once per turn. I don't know, this one also seems a bit lacking compared to the other three that I mentioned earlier. Next up, we have Nihility. I do like this one. Nihility, I think, is much more even out. Alright, so this one is going to be very, very good for Welt. I think the best one as well. If you don't have that one, this one seems really, really good for Sampo. Alright, increase your effect hit rate. That means you're able to apply debuffs more often. Increase DOT by 24% as well. Good Night Sleep Well is good if you plan to run like full DOT debuff team. For example, you have a Nihility, let's say, and then you plan to run like a Burn, a Shock, a Physical, a Windsure, then this is good. But other than that, because it depends on how much debuff you have to be able to fully maximize that particular one. Resolution Shines, this one seems to be pretty decent, but again, 60% base chance to ensnare. 60% seems a bit low still. Unless you can get multiple copies, increase this to 100%, then I can see this being used quite often and can be very, very good on a lot of enemies. But right now, as its core at 60%, a bit of a gamble, in my humble opinion. And last one, we will meet again. When you use basic attack or skill, it deals additional damage. 48% of the wearer's attack seems a bit lacking. Alright, I'm not sure if it can crit or not. Maybe if it can crit, it might be a very good one overall. If it can apply the crit damage, I think this one is going to be very, very good, depending if you have a separate damage multiplier on its own. But right now, looking at it, seem a bit lacking as well. So now Preservation, definitely. First one, I don't recommend getting this. This one is probably a very Herta shop. This one is the worst one by far out of the three. Again, I don't really recommend this one. If you have Gepard, this one is going to be very good. Gives you defense, gives you effect hit rate, and also increase your defense further. Very, very good overall for Gepard. Now, if you're running either Fire Trailblazer or anyone else, I highly recommend either one of these two. Day One of My New Life or Landau's Choice, depending on which one you want. These two makes more sense. This one gives you defense and also damage resistance to all your other allies by 8%. So already that's going to help you tank a little bit, and whether you like it or not, some enemies are going to deal AoE damage. Now if you get AoE, no matter how much taunt you have, your other squisher characters like Serval, Scylla, they're still going to get hit, and this makes a lot of sense, right? To be able to help them a little bit as well. And Landau's Choice is good. It makes you more likely to be attacked, but the damage taken is reduced by 16%. This is what I'm currently running. But like I said, this particular light cone does not prevent the enemy from applying AoE to your entire team. So that's something to consider. You can still get AoE and the other characters are still going to get hit. So in those cases, this is going to be better, much more universal. As for trend of the universal market, I guess this is decent for Fire MC if you want to do more damage, but I do prefer my tank to be able to tank more rather than to do more damage. And We Are Wildfire, I guess decent as well. At the start of the battle, damage dealt to all allies is also decreased for 5 turns. 5 turns is quite a long time actually. Could be as good as the other one. Also restores HP to all allies equal to 30% of the respective HP character's difference. Not too bad, I would say. Probably as good as Day One of a New Life, because this one is farmable. If I'm not mistaken, you can also buy it from the Light Clone shop in Forgotten Hall. Now this one, I wouldn't really buy this. Again, it's more for you to do more damage. Again, you can see all the first effect is increasing defense by 16% as well. So definitely the secondary effect, however, is for you to do more damage with your ultimate. Not sure if that's going to be something that you really want on your tank. Let's just leave doing more damage to the damage dealers, alright? Next one, the last one, Abundance. Okay, so this is going to be my favorite one. I do like a lot of these. Alright, so which one do I think is the best? Again, time waits for no one. I do think this is very, very good. It gives you a lot of stats. Alright, 18% max HP, number one. Again, very, very good on Natasha because you heal based off your HP. Outgoing healing by 12%. Alright, and then you also will be able to do more damage. Alright, additional damage equal to 36% of the recorded outgoing healing value. Again, I like this. This one is probably the best one by far. The only one that can maybe compete with this, the 4-star, is perhaps going to be Perfect Timing. Because arguably, this one gives you wearer's effect resistance. So if your healer gets frozen, if your healer gets stunned, it sucks. Alright, that means they cannot move. Like Natasha needs to be able to not get frozen, stun or whatever to be able to remove the buff from someone else. So it makes a lot of sense. This one I would highly recommend for Natasha for sure, right? So increase outgoing healing by an amount that is 33%, that's bonus, will be able to increase your outgoing healing alongside as well. Now as for the others right here, we have the shared feeling. I do like this a lot. Alright, increase the wearer's outgoing healing, very good. When using skill, regenerates 2 energy for all allies. I don't really like the second condition as much. This one relies on you using skill. What if you don't want to use skill? What if you want to use normal attack? Then you don't really get the secondary effect as much. Seems a bit lackluster right there, right? And sometimes that can happen because your skill points regenerate. Sometimes might rely on your healer to regenerate skill points. They are the one that use most of the time use normal attack. And you just want to use ultimate. And also we have this one, Warmth Shortens Cold Nights. This one is really bad. Probably the worst one from the battle pass. Increase your max HP, which is fine. But when you use basic attack or skill, it restores all allies' HP by 2% of their max HP. Your healer is not going to move that often. Unless your healer has high speed for them to move very often. Then I can see this being justifiable. Okay, next up we have Post-Op Conversation. I do think this one is maybe better than a lot of other players have been giving it credits for because of how the energy regeneration rate increased by 8% is there. Alright. And also increase outgoing healing when you use your ultimate. So unfortunately, the outgoing healing does not work on the skill. It only works for ultimate. But I do think that with energy regeneration rate 8%, that means you're going to be able to use your ultimate more often. I do think this is going to be better than it is, especially once it goes higher, right? 12% and above, I can see this being really good. Last but not least is Quid Pro Quo. I'm not a big fan of this one, not because of the energy regeneration. Again, I do like the energy regeneration, but for this one, it gives you to one randomly chosen ally, which you can't pick who gets this energy. Alright, if it's like, it depends on how you build your team. If it goes to your tank, it's like whatever, right? You can use your ultimate more often for your tank, but hey, in that case, is it that good? Unless you run no tanks and just damage dealers, I can see this one being really good. Alright, it's gonna boost your damage significantly. Yeah, and they also have to have energy lower than 50% to be able to benefit from this altogether. Alright, so with all that being said, so this is the tier list that I have made. Right now, I do think that the top tier right now is going to be Jung Yuan and Sila's Light Cone alongside with Bronya, and definitely this one is the healer's one. And then at the S tier, I do think all of these are very solid choice. Alright, definitely. Not all Light Cones are here though, as far as I know. I might have missed 1 or 2 Light Cones, I'm not too sure, but most of the relevant ones, at least the top SS, S tier and A tier, all seem to be here. I do think that these 2 5-star Light Cone, like I mentioned, the condition really restricts them. Definitely I'm putting them on the lower tier for sure. But hey, let me know, what do you guys think? Do you guys agree? Or if you guys disagree, comment below. This is just, again, my opinion on how the Light Cones are generally against all the other Light Cones that exist in the game. Again, you might not have all of these, or you might have some of the Light Cones that you don't have. There are slightly on the lower tier, and in that case, there's no shame in building them. Alright, there's nothing wrong with that. Build them for now until you get the better ones moving forward. Alright, so with that being said, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. Give this video a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.